good, everybody? It's your boy Villy. We're back at it again with another sample tutorial. We're going to take another look at how I would make a Lucky Daye type sample. Let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, taking a look at our chords. We are starting off on an A minor ninth, going into a D sharp diminished seventh, then landing on a G minor ninth, running back our A minor ninth into a C sharp diminished seventh, and then landing on a G minor ninth, and finally ending off on a D diminished seventh. Altogether, this is what it sounds like. Taking a look at the channel effects, I'm starting off with a EQ, taking out the highs and lows. Have another EQ here, taking a dip in the low mids and mids, just where I want the singer to occupy, and also another small dip between 2K and 5K, just for my personal taste. And lastly, throwing on a compressor. Here's the next sound from Analog Labs. Here are the channel effects for the pad sound, essentially just cutting out the lows and doing some cuts to taste, and here I have a compressor. Here we have another EP sound from Analog Labs. Here are the channel effects to the Analog Labs EP. Pretty much just taking out some of the muddy frequencies from the EP to my taste and throwing on a compressor. I'm using those three sounds in my intro, and then when my main chorus and verse comes in, I'm using additional piano sound from Complete Control. For my Complete Control piano sound, I'm throwing on an EQ. Really wanted to bring out some of that high end of the piano that I wasn't getting in the first piano sound. Throwing on some Valhalla vintage reverb on there, and lastly a compressor. Altogether, here are my chord instruments playing the chord progression. To start this sample off, I want to have a laid back type of vibe, so I have some bongos and textures right here. Let's hear what they sound like, both from Splice. For the channel effects for both of these sounds, I'm not doing anything on the bongos or the textures. Essentially just routing them into my instrument bus and just messing with the volume a little bit. Let's move on to the sound effect composition. Here I'm kind of throwing in a couple of different sounds and textures just to kind of fill in some space within the sample itself. Most of these are from Splice. Let's go ahead and take a listen to them. And now let's take a listen to them within context of our core instrument sounds. So you can see they move from sort of this random assortment of sounds to something that fits well within the overall composition. That's something you should try to aim for when you're looking for samples on Splice. Really try to focus on getting things that add to your sample in a good way, instead of just throwing in random sounds that don't really fit or just to fill space. I'm going to run through the channel effects for these sounds really quickly, mostly because I'm not really doing too much. There's sample sounds, don't really have to do too much to them. You can see, for instance, just throwing on EQ on a couple of them, maybe some echo, compressor for the bell sound, another EQ, just a taste. For my strings, another EQ and a compressor, really just to keep it within the mix. For the gliss, really just dropping it down in volume and adding Pan Man just from some additional effects. For the Vox sound, just throwing on an EQ, taking out the low end, adding a compressor and Pan Man. Moving on to the guitar sound. So a really chill composition of guitar samples here. Didn't really want to make that the main focus of the sample, just really serving its purpose as some ear candy. The effects for my guitar sound is throwing on an EQ, taking out the low end, another EQ, taking out the low mids, throwing some rev spring on there, and lastly throwing on a compressor. Now let's take a listen to the bass that I played in live. Not much there, really nice kind of movement to kind of keep the sample lively, and adding that element of movement into the sample. Let's take a look at the effects. Just throwing on an EQ. Start off with taking out some of that high end into my parallel compression, where obviously I'm just adding a compressor, and into my bass bus, where I'm throwing on a Pultec EQ, another EQ to kind of get that punchy sound out of the low mid, a compressor, and finally for the soft clipper. Lastly, let's take a look at our drums. This is my take on a live drum set. I'm working on a video on how to make drum samples yourself. Some key things to look out for, some do's and don'ts. That's on the way, so stay tuned, but let's listen to the drums. Let's get into the channel effects for my drum samples. Not really doing a ton, really EQing this hi-hat because I pulled it from a actual drum sample. For my snare, just really wanted to get the punchy low mid sound while also taking some of that high end out of the snare sound. Not doing anything to my kick except putting it into mono. For my open hi-hat, just tweaking the sound a little bit. For my open hi-hat, just EQing the sound a little bit. Nothing on my secondary hat or my toms or ride or crash, but for my drum bus I am using this LA2A2 compressor, and I'm also using the Abbey Road J37 tape. Moving on to my master channel effects, I'm throwing on a Pultec EQ, an SSLG bus compressor, a tape J37, parametric EQ, and lastly a fruity soft clipper. Now that we've gone over all the elements, let's take a look at the full sample. All right, that's been my take on another Lucky Daye type sample. Let me know what you guys want to hear next. It's been your boy Villy. I'm out.